Hello, I'm Uncle Unit, and welcome to the debut episode of Creep O'Clock. This is a horror anthology series featuring stories written by yours truly. So sit back, relax, turn out the lights, and enjoy. Have you ever heard someone say that video games are an escape? A lot of people say this without thinking too much into what that could mean. What exactly are you escaping from?
I've always been a loner, with pretty much no social life outside of my job. My only companion is my vast array of video games that I've been collecting for years. I don't talk to my family at all anymore because of the numerous fallouts I've had with them over the years. Honestly, I just can't be around people who are slaves to the bottle. Growing up was never easy with two drunken parents, who were, most of the time, too blitzed to even notice me. I've been playing video games for nearly 20 years now. They've always been an escape for me. I have a weekly routine. Work, eat, video games, sleep, then repeat. I get a lot of my productive gaming done on the weekends. I sat down after work one night to indulge my obsession. I was feeling kind of nostalgic that evening, and my eyes found themselves staring down the GameCube section of my glorious and masterfully assorted video game shelf that I keep next to my TV. I eventually came across a title I hadn't played in a long while. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. When this game first came out, I was blown away by its fourth wall-breaking tactics and suspenseful gameplay. It's truly an underrated classic in my opinion, and a must-play for any survival horror enthusiasts. Forgive the nerd in me. The game has what's called a sanity meter. When enemies in the game glare at you, they sometimes emit a green glow from their eyes. This apparently drives your character insane, and things begin to happen in the game as your sanity meter depletes. This doesn't just cause creepy shit to happen in the game, but also things like telling you that your controller has disconnected, or the screen turning black, as if the TV had shut off, will also occur. I don't want to spoil too much to the uninitiated. But, in a nutshell, this game will fuck with you beyond the gameplay. So, after playing it for about 3 hours, I hit a rough patch in Chapter 4. Of course, this meant my sanity meter was depleting, and my character would randomly explode into a flesh pile, and the screen would turn upside down or go completely black. During one of the blackouts, an ominous message appeared. "Look in your attic." Then, an image flashed on the screen. It was a close-up of someone's face. I only saw it for a split second, but it appeared to be a ghastly-looking woman with pale white eyes and sharp, jagged teeth. She had a sickening grin on her face, with what appeared to be blood dripping from her mouth. Now, this kind of gave me the creeps, because I do, in fact, have an attic in my house. The image disappeared from the screen, and the gameplay went back to normal. I chalked it up to my imagination. After all, it was a long day at work, and I was getting ready to turn in soon. I continued to play the game for a bit longer. My character entered a new room. Mind you, my sanity meter was still running dangerously low. The walls were dripping blood, forming messages that read, "Attic. Check your attic." The horrid face then popped up again, accompanied by a horrific scream. I decided to save out and turn the game off at that moment. I figured I was just hallucinating because of how tired I was. As I was getting ready for bed, I heard a faint shuffling noise coming from the attic. I instantly thought back to what I saw in the game. I grabbed my mag light and made my way to the hallway where the attic door was located. I gently pulled the string to the attic door and lowered the ladder. I slowly made my way up and took a deep breath before poking my head into the darkness. I raised my flashlight and turned it on. I recoiled as I saw the dead white eyes of the horrid face from eternal darkness merely inches away from me. Blood fell from her mouth in tiny rivers, dripping onto a dirty nightgown. The creature let out a piercing shriek as it lunged at me. I screamed and closed my eyes, waiting for its razor-sharp teeth to dig into my scalp. But nothing happened. I opened my eyes and quickly scanned the room with my flashlight. There was nothing inside except for my storage. It really was just all in my head. I exhaled a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat from my brow. I guess my own sanity meter's depleting, I chuckled. Before I made my descent, I shined my lights back over to my storage. 2 corpses wrapped in dirty old bed sheets, lying side by side. "Good night, Mom. Good night, Dad," I said, before closing the attic door.
Most of us have experienced some kind of rejection in our lives, and most of us learn from it and move on. However, what if those negative emotions never escape? What if they get trapped inside, poisoning our ability to be rational? Under these circumstances, a strong desire can be the ultimate nightmare.
It truly is a cruel world every time I look at you. Witnessing your unfathomable beauty, being infatuated by the thought of your touch. It's obsession. I feel both joy and pain every time I look at you. The joy comes from the conjured fantasies of exquisite pleasure, the desire of your perfect flesh. The pain is the reminder of the reality that I am condemned to, knowing that a multitude of obstacles prevents me from ever being with you. I'm not attractive, I'm not interesting, I'm awkward. I loved you, but you denied me your embrace, and left me to dwell in my confinement, haunted by thoughts of you. I had to carry on with a broken heart. I had to forget about you. That was the only way I could survive. Years have passed, and though I've tried to move on, I could not stop thinking about you. I became weak. I had to know. I had to see. And what did I find? You have a fucking husband and a child. The anger has ruptured. The desire has been replenished. I must have you. You will be mine. Some things in life cannot be ignored. It must be destiny calling. And that is why you are here, tied to my bed. What you will not grant me, I will take. I can only imagine the gripping fear that consumes you now, and I would be sympathetic towards your plight. But you did not show me such compassion when I opened my heart to you. Don't look away from me like I'm a freak. You made me this way. After I'm done, we shall die together, and our souls will journey into the darkness of the universe and beyond. Our love could have been a beautiful thing. Instead, it has become a wicked passion, a lustful bliss. One day, our story will be a frightening tale that will be told around campfires. Young lovers will whisper our names and shudder. It is indeed a cruel world. Because one person's desire is another's nightmare.
Dreams have been a topic of interest for scientists and philosophers throughout recorded history. There are many interpretations as to what they are and what they mean. The only thing that we know for a fact is that they're a part of the human condition. But what if our dreams were a gateway to a world that transcended reality itself? Such a prospect could bring fantastic wonders or unknown terrors.
As a young boy, I was quite the dreamer. In my slumber, I would enter a fantastic world of spectacles. I can recall the enormous pillars that stretched into endless skies, the chaotic structures that spread across ethereal landscapes as far as the eye could see, the currents of light hovering and intertwining with each other like moving wallpaper. I've come to realize that this world resides within a plane of existence among many others. There are only a select few with the power to traverse their own subconscious creations. I cannot justify these claims with any kind of proof, nor will I waste my time attempting to convince you that I'm not insane. I will simply tell you what I know in my soul to be the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. This power is both a gift and a curse, for there is darkness that lies beyond my subconscious world. It is a dreadful place. It's a place where all the atrocities of humanity manifest themselves. It's a place that knows the fear within you and feeds on it. It's a place where you can witness all the horrors of this world, past, present, and future. It's a place I simply call the Void. Unlike most children, I would often look forward to sleep. I wouldn't resist my parents when they told me to wash up and get ready for bed. After my mother would tuck me in, I would tell her to open the blinds so that the rays of nearby streetlight would flood into the room and act as a nightlight of sorts. I would then close my eyes and wait to escape reality and return to that realm of creation I desperately longed to explore. It was a night like many others. It wasn't long after my folks put me to bed that I found myself enveloped in my subconscious. But I could feel that there was something different about this time. Once I fully transitioned into my astral body, my world of creation appeared to me as it had so many times before. However, there was a vast distance that separated us. As if I saw my world from the deck of a ship that was far out at sea. Upon this realization, I noticed that a shroud of darkness surrounded my form. It quickly came over my astral body like a snake coiling around a trapped mouse. The moment I was completely submerged, I began to fall into an endless abyss of nothingness. A gripping, unforgettable terror consumed me as I was swallowed by despair. As I plummeted into the depths, horrifying visions began to appear before me. I saw faceless children jumping rope under the flickering rays of a streetlight. People fleeing from a burning village as bombs dropped from above. Fields of decimation in the aftermath of some bloody conflict. A woman being strangled by a drug-addicted vagrant in a dark alley. The sounds of her choking quite audible. Men in suits, pointing and smiling as they walk among a row of frightened young girls. So many awful, horrible things. The apparitions were more than my young mind could bear. No child should be subjected to the things I saw in that God-forsaken place. I screamed into the darkness.
No! No more! No more!
It was then I felt wet, slimy tentacles of an unknown origin grabbing me all over. Once I was ensnared, I was dragged down into a thick, suffocating liquid. I thrashed my arms and legs, gasping for breath, trying desperately to escape. The darkness above me solidified, and I felt a crushing force come down upon me. There I was, in this darkness, trapped between the sludge and the unrelenting pressure. During the throes of my agony, I somehow managed to notice something dwelling in the distance. A faint glow of light. As this light drew closer, it became brighter, and I could see that its source was two glowing orbs. The rays of light expanded and illuminated my enveloped form. I then heard an unearthly shriek as my astral body was liberated. I turned, and before me stood an unspeakable form of dark, twisted mass. I cannot adequately describe this hideous amalgamation. I can only remember the screaming faces embedded within its surface as they wailed in despair, begging me to free them. But I was paralyzed, unable to do anything but watch the vile mass as it hissed and spat at the brilliance. While it sank back into nothingness. The pressure was lifted, and soon after, I found myself standing before the hovering orbs that had freed me from the monstrous entity. The blinding rays quickly faded back into a dim glow. I was then able to decipher that these hovering orbs were, in fact, a pair of eyes. At that moment, I knew that I had no reason to be afraid. I knew that whomever these eyes belonged to meant me no harm. A booming voice echoed out from all directions.
Hello, friend. It appears you've lost your way.
A feeling of euphoria followed, washing away the gripping fear that had consumed me just moments before. And I felt myself ascending. I did not ponder whether it was luck or fate that freed me from the cold depths of the void. But I was grateful to the mysterious being with the glowing orbs for eyes. The orbs eventually became two barely visible glowing dots, and soon they faded from view. I found myself looking at the painted sailboats that decorated my bedroom walls. I sat up and walked over to my bedroom window and looked out to the streetlight that sat perfectly in its field of view. The light flickered and then died out.
That's all the time that we have for today. Thanks for watching this episode of Creep O'Clock. I'd like to give a special thanks to our narrators Vidith22 and The Disciple. You can find links to their channels in the description of this video. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. so you don't miss out on any future episodes. I'm your host, Uncle Unit, and we'll see you next time.